And we are live. Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Good with me. How's it going with you?
We're doing really, really good tonight. We've got a really hot and juicy topic because this will ruin your day. And in fact, I dare say this shit can ruin your life if you don't get it right and you don't do it right.
Yeah, I would say so.
Uh-huh. I would dare say so, yeah. So we're going to be talking tonight about getting your legal and financial shit in order in your business, um, getting your ducks running in a row, because it's been a very instructional week for me. I was reading through Facebook earlier and somebody was posting. Shantae Roddy is one of my friends. She was posting because she helps people get grants and other things, and they got turned down from getting a grant because all of their business expenses were running through their personal accounts. Y'all.
Not only did she get denied for a grant, but you could open yourself up to liability because you're not doing, the corporate veil is pierced because you're not doing business as a company, you're doing business as a person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
And so let's talk about the legal ramifications of doing that, because I want people to really understand the legal ramifications of doing that, because I'm not an attorney, I'm just an MBA, and you are the attorney. So you're talking about piercing the legal veil,
Hmm. Piercing the corporate veil.
piercing the corporate veil.
First of all, I'm not giving legal advice here. I want to make
No.
that very clear. And I have no idea what the state of North Carolina does. That's where
Oh,
you
yeah,
are.
no.
I'm
And
in
it's
Pennsylvania.
different in every single state. Just
Every
to be
single
really
state.
clear, when
So
in doubt, talk to an attorney in your state because the
that's right.
rules vary hugely.
Yeah, because if you're going to start a business, you need to talk to the attorney and find out the best legal
Mm-hmm.
option, the legal fiction. Is it a sole proprietorship? Is it an S corp? Is it an LLC? I don't know what's best for you, but your attorney will know what's best for you. But whatever you do, it is best for you to talk to that attorney and find out how to best protect yourself. Because if you don't have a corporation behind you and somebody slips on a banana peel, they can come after you personally
Mm-hmm.
and you can lose everything you've got. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I've told the story before. Even even as a corporation, I had a homeless guy who had a blood alcohol of over 3 trip on the sidewalk outside my business. He hired a lawyer, he sued us. They were looking for $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew the attorney. I work in town. I knew the attorney, and his answer was, you can afford it. And I thought, wow, that's A, crazy, B, malicious, but welcome to the world. I mean, there's a lot of malicious prosecution
Mm-hmm.
out there. Revenge, vendetta, jealousy, whatever you want. There are a lot of people who are willing to do that.
Mm-hmm. And they think if you've got it, they're going to come after you. So,
And if you are not correctly protected in your business with
mm-hmm.
proper insurance and proper legal fictions behind you, and if you don't do the things you need to do, like have board meetings on a regular basis and keep books and money separate and the things that your attorney will tell you, that leaves you open to personal suit.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be catastrophic. I mean, if somebody
Absolutely.
you for $100,000 and all of a sudden you have to take 100,000 out of a bank account, most people could not do that, especially young
Mm-hmm.
people who are just starting a business. They don't have $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
They got school loans, they got mortgage debt, they got all kinds of stuff. And I heard a statistic the other day that almost 95% of Americans have only $1,000 to their name.
Mm-hmm.
So we're living right on the edge of cardboard box in America. You better have your ducks in a row.
Yeah.
That's 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 not legal advice per se. That's Good Sense Incorporated, and I'm going to
Yeah.
be 65 on Friday, and I'm just full of Good Sense and Wisdom Incorporated.
Well, and I mean, honestly, I mean, one of the things I tell my clients as a business coach is you need to talk to an attorney, you need to talk to a CPA, and you need to figure out what the right legal entity is for your business, because it varies hugely by state and by how much income you have and what kind of assets you have. And there's all of these different things that come into play. And that is really a hard tax conversation with an attorney, and making sure you then follow through, because it's not that expensive to do the things that you need to do. In North Carolina, it's $120 a year to file with the Secretary of State. And, you know, it's just one of those things. And then the insurance, talk to a reputable insurance agent who's going to get you set up with the right insurance
So that you're protected.
so that you're protected. And I honestly can't tell you what all the right insurance is, because it changes year by year. Do you need cybersecurity insurance? I don't know. Do you have data that you need to protect? Do you need professional liability insurance? I don't know. Do you need umbrella policies? Do you need all this stuff?
And with many professionals in many states, you're required to have liability insurance. And if you don't, you must declare it at your door so that any client who walks through knows that you don't have liability insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on the kind of law you practice, what it costs. I have a friend who does title work,
Mm-hmm.
and 23 years ago, one of the title searchers missed something, and there was an error, and they had to call the carrier. And to this day, he said, I should have just paid it out of my account. The insurance went from 5,000 a year to 100,000 a year. I mean, it just went through the roof. But you got to have it. If you're doing $1 million properties or whatever, you have to have it. So, you talked about an accountant, you talked about insurance, you talked about a lawyer. You also have to have that accountant and that lawyer talk to each other.
Yeah.
So that they can do appropriate planning for you, so that when it comes time to file at the end of the year, that your lawyer knows where you are and your accountant knows where you are.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be together, and they both have good advice for you, and it's best when they can do it together.
Well, and then I'm going to throw in one other piece while we're talking about getting all your ducks in a row, is you need to talk to a financial planner who needs to talk to your CPA, who might also need to talk to your attorney, because depending on what exactly you're trying to do for your retirement, different legal entities and different types of retirement accounts become available or not available. So you need to make sure that you're doing all the right things. And sometimes that can have to be a 3 or a 4 or a 5-way conversation. And gosh, it's a pain in the butt, but it's so worth it, because it can make a big difference on your taxes too.
A good accountant could tell you that. I don't have a financial planner. I have in the past. I found them to be usurously expensive, and I have not been convinced that the information was all that good.
Oh, okay. So we have a certified financial planner who works for us, who manages our retirement accounts and is absolutely fabulous. And he charges a percentage of assets under management. But he
1%.
Huh?
About 1%.
About 1%. And for us, it's been worth it, just because he's managing all the backs and forth and making sure that we're not incurring additional taxes that we don't need to take, and all those kinds of things. And that we've got the money in the right kinds of accounts in the right kinds of places, doing the right things. And yes, we have him talking to our CPAs and to everybody.
If you've got one that works, let's talk about Bernie Madoff for a minute. None of his clients ever said, let me see the audit. Who is the accountant? Let me see the books. And they would have found out that the accountant was in some strip mall across the Hudson upriver.
Mm-hmm.
There were no audits. There were no, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you have to be very careful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, People don't have a set of rules the way they used to. They don't answer to higher authorities the way they used to. So if you're going with a financial planner, you have to be very, very careful.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's why we're with a CFP.
Yeah, and yeah, that's no guarantee, is what I'm
I
saying.
understand that there are no guarantees, but being with a CFP offers a little bit more guarantee because they at least have a fiduciary duty to the client. That, other financial advisors may not have because they only have to recommend assets or options that are suitable for the client, not necessarily what are the best options.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me. A number of people I know who are in with financial planners,
Mm-hmm.
some of the fees in some of the instruments they have them in are so
Ridiculous.
high. Yes, they're just so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But people trust and people don't,
Mm-hmm.
even if you've got this guy, you've got to do your research. You've got to do
Oh,
your
absolutely.
own due diligence to make sure that these things are good for you, just because they're recommended to you. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's one large bank in particular who was in California, who's now in Charlotte, and they were opening credit cards in people's names. That happened to me twice with them.
Oh, delightful.
Yeah, yeah, and the fees that I realized I was incurring that for a credit card that I didn't ask for and wasn't using. So, and the fees were being automatically deducted every month from my checking account, which,
Of course they were.
well, anyway, people who look reputable are not always reputable, including
Mm-hmm.
but not limited to that bank. And the CEO and the uh, chief financial officer, I believe, it was in the Wall Street Journal, both got slapped with a lawsuit, and they had to, or got slapped with a fine, and it was $3 million. And I thought, the guy earns $100 million a year. This is coffee money to him.
Mm-hmm.
That until there's real response,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Another thing I heard yesterday was that the wealthy now earn more than the entire middle class combined, and that's that Wall Street crew, the oligarch crew, the Silicon
Mm-hmm.
Valley crew. The money in the last 5 years is just, I think it's more than that. I think
Astronomical.
it's more like 20. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of money was made off the wars, and yeah, it's otherworldly money, billionaire class money, which was,
Mm-hmm.
when I was a child, it was really something when someone was a millionaire, and now
Mm-hmm.
we've got 2, 3 figure billionaires.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at one gentleman who owns a tech company who threw $500 million into the election in Pennsylvania. I mean, it's otherworldly,
Mm-hmm.
and they can't be sued, they can't be touched. So there's all kinds of nonsense going on there. But we are going far afield of what we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things we were talking about today, that when you do get in trouble legally,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times people can't afford a lawyer because, you know, you just can't sometimes. They might want a $25,000 retainer. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know your town. I know my town, and it depends on what you're talking about. But the mistakes that people make in a court are not looking at the evidence. And the people who win in court are the ones who know the evidence rules. And so if somebody is suing you and you have a contract with them, you are in your very best to pull out the contract and go through the contract line by line in the court, paragraph by paragraph, and present your evidence by that contract.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk to a lawyer before you do that. But just remember that what you do is evidence. And
Mm-hmm.
that obviously you must tell the truth, but you have to be very prepared, and you have to make it easy for the judge. Make it easy for him to find for you by doing the work for him. You're
Yeah.
saying that Sally Sue violated contract paragraph 3A, and it says Sally Sue must call you every morning at 8 o'clock, and she hasn't done it. You have to provide evidence that Sally Sue did not call or uh,
Did not meet the terms of the contract.
didn't meet the terms of the contract. And
Mm-hmm.
you just, and you know, in paragraph 3B, Your Honor, says ABC, and I am showing you the evidence here included that shows how this was not met. And then you enter that as evidence, and you enter that as evidence. And it can be plotting and it can be boring, but courts are not interested in how you feel. I mean, obviously, if it's a personal injury case and you're in pain, you know, that's the crux of the case. But when you're talking about matters of business, you must show facts, you must show numbers, you must show contracts, you must show documentation, and you have to keep good records. And if you don't keep good records, like Haley said, you know, get your ducks in order. You don't keep good records like running your money through your personal account. I mean, if you did that as a lawyer, if you put clients' money in your own account, you can get disbarred for that.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's unethical and it's too tempting to take their money and not do the work. So, and I know
and
people,
lots of trust accounts, right?
Yeah. There was a woman in town who had been stealing from the trust account in the law firm. She'd been doing this for years. She had a new house. She had a new Jaguar. Her 12-year-old daughter had a fur coat. And people are starting to go, huh? And then they're on to her. And what happens? Oh, there's a robbery at the law firm. And they took all the money that was in the safe from the trust account.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, anyway, so you got to choose wisely who your attorney is. And you have to follow advice. If you don't like that attorney and you don't like the advice, go get a second opinion. And when you get a quorum, go get a third opinion. And you'll get a quorum of advice. You know, 2 out of 3. What are they saying? They're saying keep good records. They're saying, you know, follow the rules.
Well, and this goes back to operations in your business, right? Keep good records. Keep time logs. Keep notes. Keep emails. Keep client notes. Keep backups of all your data.
Act as if you could get hit by a bus tomorrow and somebody's got to step in and do your job. What are they going to be left with? I'm 65 on Friday, and I've spent, my husband and I have spent the last couple of months cleaning out, throwing out, putting things in order because I don't want, I moved here 20 years ago with 1.5 tractor trailers of furniture in this house. That was 20 years ago. I've added lots of rooms. We've done lots of construction. There's twice as much house as there was. And I thought, oh my gosh, anybody who would walk in here and say, what am I going to do? They're going to run screaming. So anyway.
There's companies for that.
Yeah, there are. But companies don't always recognize the value of things. And well, anyway, and that takes you to having a will and having clear ideas of who gets what and when they get it. And if there are children involved, trusts, all things you talk about with a lawyer, like what is in the best interest of, you know,
and life insurance.
Yeah. And that's run through life insurance, not through your state. Otherwise there's more tax, but whatever.
Yeah, no, totally. And I mean, one of the things too, I mean, I have a really good friend who's a life insurance agent. Christine Wallors, I highly recommend her. You know, if you're in another state, find another reputable life insurance agent. So, you know, she's been commenting about, you know, y'all, GoFundMe is not an adequate life insurance policy. You know, when somebody dies, you do not want to have to be doing a GoFundMe to raise money for the funeral.
Isn't that frightening?
That is
back to $1,000 to your name. Yeah, right. 95% of Americans have $1,000 to their name.
Right, which isn't even enough to pay for direct cremation. So direct
No,
cremation, for those of you that don't know, is they pick up the body, you sign the paperwork, and they cremate. They don't do any visitations. They don't do anything else. In North Carolina, the cheapest is like $1,300. Ask me how I know this, because, well, I've had to deal with it several times. But if you don't even have $1,000 in your name, how are you going to even pay that $1,300 for that direct cremation, much less a funeral that you actually want?
All of this is not palatable.
Oh no, this is all of the hard stuff in life and in business.
This is real grown-up stuff. I don't want to think about it. And I venture to say, none of you out there who's listening to this want, because this is boring, and this is, I don't want to think about it.
This is the yuck stuff that like sends people running. I get it. I mean, I don't want to deal with that stuff either, but having gone through and been executor for my parents' estates, oh my Lanta, and having been the one to have to clean out their houses and their apartments and my in-laws' stuff and cleaning out all their stuff, it's really interesting how your philosophy really changes if you've had to be the it person who's had to deal with all of these like critical issues, from what's the legal entity that this thing is in? What is this? What is that? What is that? And it makes a huge difference to your estate planning and all of that.
I got an interesting call last year. A friend died, and many people assumed I had written his will. He and I had talked about it, but he never got around to writing a will. And he had a lady friend. He did not have children. He was a widower, and he had a lady friend. The guy dies at noontime. By 3 o'clock, they've cleaned out his house and taken what they wanted. And he had nieces and nephews, and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And they're calling me saying, I know you've got a copy of the will. And I'm thinking, I don't think so. And I went and looked in my records. You have to look in your records. I didn't want to rely on my memory. And they said, no, I'm sorry, I don't have a will. Perhaps he wrote it with someone else, which he didn't. And he just didn't want to deal with it. And people do crazy stuff. So spare your heirs bullshit. Have it very laid out, and not stuff like, and the contents of the house can be divided by my children. That is just itching for a fight. And
I get it.
Make it very clear that Sally Sue gets this and Billy Bob gets that, and that's the way it is.
And this is especially important if you have a business. Do you want it sold? Do you want it passed to somebody? How do you want it passed? Do you want it?
The first day on the job should be the first day of your succession planning. You really have to think about
that a little bit louder for those in the back.
Yeah. So the day you start your firm, whatever it is, from being a house cleaner to being a lawyer to being a hairdresser to being an accountant,
plastic surgeon,
you better figure out. I'm hearing varmints, and I know what it is. It's deer. That's what I'm hearing snorting, and they're right outside my window. It's that time of year up here in Pennsylvania, and I'm thinking, who's sneezing? My husband's upstairs. I can't hear him sneeze. It's the deer right out here. Well, anyway,
Lord have mercy.
My brother and I were very blessed when our parents died. One, they had good estate planning. They laid it out. It was very clear. And two, we decided that our relationship was more important than stuff. And anything, maybe it's a mouse in here. I don't even want to go there. That any stuff we could buy, and it just not go there. It's got to be a mouse. We'll just.
Are you going to be chasing the mouse here shortly? Do we get like full-fledged entertainment, like full screen? Okay, let's blow Vicky up and see if we got a mouse. And then my next question is, why aren't your cats doing their job?
We definitely have a mouse.
Oh, do you see it?
No, but that sound. And fortunately, I'm okay with mice. I don't have a problem with mice. But anyway.
But clearly your cats are sleeping on the job in there.
Well, they don't come in this room. This office is closed off, and it's a glass door that's usually closed. So who knows? Maybe that's them. We're going to pretend it's a cat because I know it isn't a dog. So dogs are upstairs. Anyway, we just let the little mouse be Mickey Mouse and let him do his thing.
The critter or whatever it is running around in the house.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can remember the time my husband and I were in bed, and he said, "Baby, be calm." At that point, you sit straight up.
Yeah. Never in the history of calming down has somebody calmed down by being told to calm down.
There's a bat flying around the room. I just pulled the covers over my head and found the fish net. Got the bat and the fish net. And oh, God. You live in the country, and that's the way it goes.
We used to have them in our house in Brazil.
Yeah. Are they kind of bats in Brazil? I mean, are they rabid? Are they badass bats?
They can be badass bats, but what happened was that we had a house that had really big windows, and apparently it was like their migration pattern every night. So they would fly in through what we referred to as the bat belfry, which was one of the rooms, like at the top of one of the towers. They'd fly across the living room and then through the door and into the hall that's outside my bathroom and out through my bathroom window every night.
Wow.
So we had bats. We had frogs, big ones.
Boys and dark.
We had a moat around half the house.
Yeah. Brazil's got a lot of bad stuff. I mean, like fertilance vipers and Brazilian wandering spiders and those.
We have some of those snakes in our water tanks and all kinds of interesting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the tree house in the top of a mango tree. Strange childhood.
This is entertainment, folks. I don't know.
It might not be the kind of entertainment we were hoping for.
I don't know. Not what I guarantee. This is a new room for our podcast. I typically do it in my sunroom upstairs, but I'm doing it in my office now. Mm-hmm. And I have finally put into somewhat order. And I've got a new computer, and it's
That's
really
awesome.
Nice. It's really nice to be here, and new setup and camera and all that. And
looks good.
The fact is, my laptop died about an hour ago, and I called Haley and said, let's get on now to make sure this works, because this is the first time I've turned on this computer since I've had it. So here we are.
Yep. No, that's cool. I appreciate it. Yeah, so this is a get your shit in order.
Yeah.
Set your legal entity up, set your bank accounts up, get your tax IDs from the Secretary of State, set up your wills, do all your shit. Y'all, we're not trying to be mean.
Make it easy for your children.
Make it easy.
Yeah, you don't want to saddle them with this stuff.
No, and make it easy for yourself. Don't open yourself up to unnecessary risk, unnecessary legal exposure, unnecessary liability, all those things. Because you could lose your house. You could lose everything if you're not careful. And I mean, I'm not trying to be overly melodramatic, but you really could be.
Because you're right. If you don't do this right, you got a lot to lose.
Y'all need to talk to an attorney. You need to talk to a CPA, and preferably have the two of them talk and, help you figure out what the right structures are. Maybe you pay a little bit more money to get the right attorney. It's totally worth it.
It is totally worth it. When it goes bad, you're going to want somebody who understands what it is you do. Mm-hmm. And you want someone who is going to work with you. Mm-hmm. Somebody who you want to work with. And it's kind of like hiring a physician. My physician is older than I am, and I'm thinking, well, I'm going to have to get another physician, and I'm really not.
Really not?
Oh, I don't even know what this is. I really don't know what this is.
So are you going to chase around the room with the camera so we can get to find out what it is?
I, oh my word. Well,
How
anyway,
about we let the audience go? And I'm going to sit here and laugh hysterically while you chase things around the living room and around your office because I want to see what this is now. And we'll talk later.
we will. And I want everybody to be set and squared away. And that was the whole point of this, is that if you're not prepared, you lose. And be prepared, do the boring work, go the extra mile, develop good professional relationships, document, 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 act as if you could get hit by a bus and somebody'd have to step into your shoes tomorrow, make it easy for them, do the right thing, protect your kids, and that's all you can do.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I appreciate you. Thank you.
appreciate you. This is fun.
This is so much fun. I like doing this. We're going to be here every Wednesday at 9 p.m. So come back and play with us.
That's right.
want to play?
If there's something you want to talk about, let us know. We'll do it.
Life, the universe, and everything.
There
Let's
you
do
go.
it. 42.
All right. We'll see you.